The idealized human form has been a part of comics since, I mean, well, forever. I think that even if you look back at the very old kind of original comics, I say original, but things back in the 40s, the 50s, you saw the kind of idealized male superhero form and female form. And this is a part of comics. But in the last 15 years or so, there's been this push to kind of normalize characters, make them look more realistic. And I get it. But on the other hand, I don't, because these are meant to be kind of larger than life escapist fantasy characters running around in their underwear. Why do we need to make them look like the average people again? Hey everybody, this is Perch. Please, 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 because some people always do. There's going to be the person who comes in like, oh look, somebody's triggered because the girls are, not triple, G cup sizes anymore in comics. That's not where I'm going with this. That's not the point at all. I think everybody has different tastes, and I want to lead with this. Everybody's got different things that they're into, in terms of kind of men like different versions of women: big chested, small chested, tall, short, tattooed, darker skin, lighter skin. There's a million different preferences out there. I avoided the big butt, or smaller butt. What, Brazilian? Was it the, I was watching some, it was on Netflix, and it was a game show, and they're asking people, what would you do if you won $1 million? And this woman's like, I'm going to go get a bunch of Brazilian butt implants. It's like, I had to explain that to my 6-year-old. She's like, what? What is that? Why would you want an implant in your butt? Would it help you poop? It was anyway. You can see how these conversations might also go off track. But the same thing true is in the other direction. I think there's, women have different tastes, or men have tastes. Men have tastes for men. But the point is, everybody likes different things in people. Everything from the amount of tan to the amount of muscle to the amount of weight. There's a million different tastes, and granted, some tastes are more common than others. There's this article about kind of this. The American idealized kind of Barbie doll, tall, big chested, blonde, thin, as what everybody likes. And it's true. I think there's a high percentage of people who like that form, but it's not all inclusive. That's not everything. It's not like that's the winner and that's the only thing that matters. There's lots of different tastes. There's lots of different figures and shapes. And that's fine. That's normal. I think that people should, go with what they're attracted to. If you're a man, you're attracted to men, you should go for men. You shouldn't be like, well, I would like to go for men, but it says here in this pamphlet that the American ideal is blonde women, so I guess I got to go find one of them. That doesn't make any sense. You should go with what you're attracted by. Comics had this kind of larger than life, kind of Greek god Olympian myth kind of platform for characters, and so as a result, the men were all kind of Herculean, kind of Olympian style, super muscles. Even, and in the 90s, even characters who weren't muscular. Like I remember, the one that always sticks out for me, for whatever reason, because everybody always does the Extinction Agenda as like the best crossover of all time. And I don't agree. I think there's a lot of better X-Men crossovers than the Extinction Agenda, but regardless, Forge is a character you've heard videos before. I like a lot. I think that character's cool, lots of potential, some awesome stuff you could do with Forge. And the Barry Windsor Smith rendition of Forge from the Life Death comics in Uncanny X-Men were amazing. It's like that's my vision of Forge, is kind of that body shape, everything else. And then he shows up in the Extinction Agenda, and like he's Rambo. It's like he's got massive muscles, like more muscular than Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it's like, what? Why are you drawing him this way? It's just like the most ludicrous. All the characters, Cyclops and Havoc too, who are generally slender frames. I mean, Havoc always looked really cool to me because he had that, completely black costume, and it was almost shadow-like. And he wasn't super muscular, but he was, fit. But anyway, but the place this comes out in arguments mostly is around women, and the fact that there's been different styles of women in the past, of the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. In the 90s, it got kind of ridiculous. They had the Rob Liefeld drawing of the Enchantress with like her legs were 7/8 of her body. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not by much. And breast size was just like off the charts, insane. And it just looked weird. I mean, most of the drawings, regardless of the human form, it looked really really strange. But lately, and there's been a bigger and bigger push, and you hear this at cons, and you hear this in interviews, that we've got to get the characters should look like us. We should be able to see ourselves in the characters. But I don't really get why that's a goal. It hasn't been a goal in the past. I don't know why it's a goal in the future. If you're trying to appeal to somebody to get them to read comics, you shouldn't have to make the character look like the person. And I'm talking physical traits. I'm not talking, by the way, about race or gender or sexual preference or any of those kinds of things. I'm talking purely about physical appearance here. Just to kind of, it's a different argument depending on where you're going with this. But in terms of physical appearance, like why, like there's this push, like we should have some plus size superheroes, we should have some other things. I mean, you could do that, and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But I don't get it as a need, like as a drive. Like we have to do this because if we don't do this, then the readers will not see themselves in the heroes, and if they don't see themselves in the heroes, then they'll get addicted to meth. Is what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. They're going to start watching Netflix and doing meth. I think that's ludicrous, and I think we forever, whether it's Hollywood or whether it's movies that are made, books that are written, etc. The idea of these kind of idealized escapist human forms is kind of as old as time, and there was never a problem in attracting an audience before. It's not like it's not like people are like, well, I'd like to watch Superman. Back guy in the 50s, like I'd like to like Superman, but Superman doesn't look like me, but I guess I have to buy it anyway because if I don't, I'll be called a commie. Is that no? That's silly. There's none of that would go on. So it feels like a weird argument to make. And again, to be clear, if you want to make a plus size superhero, and by the way, I'll just throw this out there as well. The drive of these comments, we've got to do this. It's always women. You do not see, like, I don't see a lot of people clamoring to have like a guy with a beer belly and kind of pasty kind of superhero. Like, I don't see these like, let's get Batman, or the test would be Nightwing, because Nightwing is the character that a lot of for whatever reason people are like, I want to just get into the bathtub with a glass of wine and read Nightwing, and then move on to 50 Shades of Grey kind of after that. That's a dated reference. Anyway, so Nightwing. So, okay, when he became Rick Grayson, perfect opportunity. He lost his memory and he has a blank slate. Why not have him like gain 50 pounds? All right in the gut. Working as a bartender, just put some on. Start working out. He doesn't remember he's Nightwing anymore. So he just, his interests are like Netflix and esports and, League of Legends. He can get into that and drink. Get kind of, he becomes very, very into, taco time. Those tater tots are amazing. And just have him like pack on some weight. And then he looks, right. He looks like the world around us then, right? Is that, but nobody's asking for that. Nobody wants that. But yet you do see these, it's like, well, the female superheroes look unrealistic with these body types. And it's like, you can make that case, but then I think you got to say it this way. Everybody looks unrealistic in this body type. All of them. The heroes, the villains, the men, the women, they're all unrealistic. And so, but again, when we have a comic where people are flying around, shooting ruby lasers out of their eyes, they're billionaire, detectives who are swinging around the city. Why are we going for realistic again? Like what that ship sailed. The Quinjet has left the station. There is no realistic at this point. So the idea that I'm trying to get somebody to give me a solid, kind of like the video I did a while back. I'd love for somebody to come on and give me a solid argument. Like what are you going for exactly? Because if it's to be realistic, the whole setting is unrealistic. That's silly. If it's to reflect the audience that's reading the comic, why now? Like, why did we decide in 2020 that if the comic characters do not look like the readers, they're inaccessible. Like, was this not a problem in 1982? People just, they're like, well, we have nothing better to do. We need to read. And if that's true, then is this same approach coming to, our streaming services and our movies? Like, is Gail Gadot like, sorry, you're going to have to, we're going to retire you as Wonder Woman because you're not accessible to the majority of people. So Melissa McCarthy is going to come in here and she's going to put on the tights and she's now Wonder Woman. Is that what we're doing? If your argument is in the 90s things got out of control and the men were drawn super weird and muscular, and the women had just crazy balloon breasts that made no sense whatsoever. If that's your argument, then okay, I can sign up for that. I can say, yeah. I mean, the 90s got a little strange there with the art, and we should pull it back a little bit. But that's not really what people are saying. They're saying that they need to go further than that. And my question is, why? And the other argument I hear some is like, well, it's exploitation. It's selling sex, and it's like, okay, but again, we're dressing these heroes up in spandex, and they're running around. And I thought that part of the cool part about being the creative community in comics and everything else is we didn't want this kind of Puritan kind of behavior for comics. We didn't want this self-censorship. This she needs to be covered up. Feet to neck. We don't want to kind of don't want to send boys the wrong message. Is that and then again, are we going to stop publishing the comments where Nightwing bends over to like pick up his keys? Because there's a lot of moments in those comics where it's like Nightwing's like hanging out and he's like, oh my goodness, I appear to have dropped my keys. I better bend over to pick those up. These tights are riding up, but I must retrieve my keys. Oh, I can't quite grab them. Let me do some squats here real quick. I don't know. I'm just saying. Again, I'm positive some people are going to come in the comments and go into the oh my goodness, he's triggered by boobs or who knows what. But it's a legitimate question. I'm just trying to figure out where are we drawing the line, and how are we putting this thing together, because it feels like it's all over the place, and I'm not getting the logic. This is not a video arguing that we need to pump things back up to the 90s and go for, I mean, that Sue Storm costume was ridiculous, and some of this stuff was silly, and everybody would agree that Jim Lee drawing Psylocke is a wonderful, glorious thing, but we don't need that everywhere. That's not what I'm asking for. It's not what anybody is wanting, or well, maybe some people are wanting it, but that's not the point. The point is, why this push now? What are you hoping to achieve? What happens at the other end of it? Are we going to be consistent, or is this just about drawing the women one way, and the men can continue to be cheesecake, or and just come out and say it? Like I had this wonderful argument with somebody, and I really appreciate it because they just said what they thought. And I was asking the same kind of question, and it's like, look, women have been exploited in comics with skimpy costumes for 50 years. So I want to see 50 years of men in thongs, and then it will be even, and then we can go back to normal. And I think that point of view is insane, but I do appreciate the honesty of it. I appreciate all right, we've got a timeline. You are looking for 50 years of the reverse. Thank you. Honest, thank you for speaking your mind and just saying what you want. It's appreciated than all this other messing around. What do you think? Does any of this make sense to you? What are your thoughts on the matter? And please, as well, I get the other side, like, oh, this is the SJWs trying to kill the male gaze and all the rest. I get it. But let's go a little bit deeper than that. Why now? Where does it go? Where's the line? What do you think? Do you care? I'm going to say something here right here at the end that maybe is crazy, but I have never bought a comic, and I think this is I can completely say this truthfully. You can hook me up to a lie detector. I've never bought a comic, picked it up, and thought, make me horny. That's never been my goal. That's not why I read comics. I think there are much better, quicker, more precise methods to scratch that particular itch than picking up X-Force. I'm just saying. That's not. So that's another one people often throw out is like, oh, people are just, horny dudes wanting to read comics. It's like, are there guys who are reading comics for that purpose? I don't think so. I'm gonna say no. I don't buy that one because that doesn't make a lot of sense. But who knows? I may be wrong. Maybe that's why people are buying Faith. I don't know. Leave a comment below, like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter or Facebook at Comic Perch, and thanks for listening.